Okay, we're going to look at the Knowledge Challenge Problem B 6-4, preparing a bank reconciliation. In this exercise, you will prepare a bank reconciliation for the month of December for Salsa Ingredients Company. Use the following information to complete the bank reconciliation. Okay, and then they've given us a bunch of bullets there. And then your Excel template is in your classroom. So the first step is to go through each of these and decide which ones are going to affect our checkbook and which ones are going to affect our um, bank statement. Okay, so I'm going to pull up, if I can find the right tab here. And of course I didn't. I pulled up the wrong tab. This is your step-by-step explanation that's in your classroom. So here's the same problem that I was able to write on. So the first one gives us our ending balance that was displayed on our bank statement. It was 17,825. The general ledger shows an ending cash balance of 14,200. This third one, a notes receivable is 4,050 owed by Bad Break Company. Corporation was collected on behalf of Salsa Ingredients Company by the bank. So that one is going to be an increase to our checkbook. Okay. A notes receivable is a situation where the company owes us money and the bank has collected on that money. So we have to add that to our checkbook. The next one, bank charges of $45 were levied during the month. That means the bank took $45 out of our account. So we have to subtract that from our checkbook. Outstanding checks as of December 31st were as follows. So these are 3 checks that we've written that we've already taken out of our checkbook, but the bank doesn't have on their end yet. So we have to subtract those from the bank balance. Deposits in transit as of December 31st totaled 125. So that's a deposit that we have taken to the bank, but it doesn't appear on our bank statement yet. So we have to add that to the bank balance. A deposited check for $1,300 from Holiday Specialties was rejected by the bank as an NSF check. That means that we deposited this check from the company, but the check bounced. So that's $1,300 that we've deposited into our checkbook that isn't actually in there. So we have to subtract it from our checkbook. And then the check received from OJD Inc. for $450 in full payment of its accounts receivable was erroneously recorded by Salsa Ingredients as a payment of $550. So this company sent us a check for $450. We wrote down $550, so we need to subtract the difference from our checkbook. Now keep in mind, these will not be identical every time you read them. So for example, that last one, if you have another problem or if you're in the situation that you're creating a bank reconciliation, those numbers might be flipped and you might have to add that to the checkbook instead. It depends on how the error was made. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're doing your assignments. Let me find, there's my Excel spreadsheet. Get my windows situated so we can see what we're working with here. So first thing we do in our Excel spreadsheet, just like every other statement that we created when we're creating a bank reconciliation, we start with the company name, which is Salsa Ingredients Company. Oh my goodness, sorry about that. Okay. And then after that, we have to have the date, which is December 31st. Okay. We're going to start with the bank side of this. So we're going to type in the cash balance according to the bank statement. And our textbook on the first dot tells us that that balance is $17,825. Okay. Now you'll notice that we have 2 columns. Those 2 columns have nothing to do with debits and credits. They are just columns for us to do some math in. Okay. So we're going to look down the left side of our list of things here, and we're going to find the things that we need to add to the bank balance. And we see right here, we only have one, which is a deposit in transit, okay, of December of $125. So we're going to come over here and type in add deposit in transit. Since we only have one, we're going to do this over here on the right-hand side of $125. And then we're going to add those 2 numbers together. Again, you can grab a calculator. I'm going to use Excel's sum function. Add those two together, I get 17,950. This cell needs a bottom border. Excuse me. Put in a thick bottom border there to show that I did some math. The next thing we're going to do is deduct items. And if we look over here on our problem and we see where we wrote down that we have to subtract something from the bank, we're subtracting outstanding checks. And we're going to list all of these checks. So I'm going to put in here deduct outstanding checks. And then I'm going to list the check numbers. So I have check number 825, and I'm going to list the amounts in the first column because we're going to add them together. Excel is kind of wonky with numbers. They automatically put all the numbers on the right, but this one, we're kind of treating this as text. So a couple different things we can do. We can push this left align button, which will bring that number back out to the left where we want it. Or if you want to treat the little Excel tip, if you want to treat a number as text, if you put one apostrophe before it, it will automatically treat it as text. It won't show the apostrophe, but it will keep it on the left side where we want it. Oops. So again, I just listed my check numbers and their amounts. Okay. And then I'm going to add these three numbers together, and I'm going to put the total right here next to the one, next to the last one. So again, I'm going to use Excel sum feature. You can grab your calculator, and add them together if you want to do it that way. I'm going to put a thick underline underneath the 720 to show that I did math. We decided over here on line 7 that we were going to deduct the outstanding checks, so I'm going to subtract these two numbers. So again, I need a thick underline under the 1145. This one's going to equal 17,950 minus the 1145. And this gives me my adjusted bank balance. Okay. So my adjusted bank balance is 16,805. So the next one we're going to do is the cash balance according to the general ledger. Okay. And it tells me the general ledger shows an ending cash balance of 14,200. And I'm looking at the second dot there. I'm going to put that total over here, 14,200. And then I'm going to look on my left of my paper and see what do I need to add to my checkbook. And I only have one item that I'm adding, a notes receivable for 4050. So in my Excel spreadsheet, I'm going to say add notes receivable. Now, if you have a larger company, then you put the company name there. Since there's only one, I'm going to do it all over here on the right-hand column. Okay, add those two numbers together. Thick bottom border there to show that I did some math. Then I'm going to deduct the things that need to be deducted. And if I look at my problem, I can see that there's multiple things that I need to subtract from my checkbook. So this first line is just going to say deduct. Underneath that, the first thing that we're deducting is the bank charges. It was a bank charge of $45. So I'm going to put that in the left-hand side. Not enough lines. You might have to add lines to this one as you're working. I'm also going to deduct this deposited check that came back NSF. And that was for $1,300. And I'm going to deduct the check error, which was a $100 error because the check was for $450 and we put in $550. Just like I did at the top, I'm going to add those three numbers together and put it right there. Whoops. Throw a border on here. Okay, I'm going to put a thick bottom border under that 100 to show that I did the math and I got 1445. Since I am deducting these, I'm going to take this 18,250 minus the 1445. And hopefully this number equals the other one. It does, 16,805, 16,805. We're going to label this my adjusted ledger balance. And since they equal, we're going to give them a thick bottom border. I'm sorry, we're going to give them a double bottom border. Okay, and there we have prepared our bank reconciliation. Okay, so again,